If there's one thing that would make this little reading nook more attractive, it would be doing something with these hideous wires. So today we're going to sort that. This is an extension lead, and the reason that it's here is because I need it to power my motor for the blinds. Probably the best way to fix this would be to install a new socket underneath the floorboards and sitting about here to fuel this plug. But I don't have a lot of time for a project of that size at the moment, so I'm going to do something that's a bit more straightforward. Once I'd moved everything out of the way, I picked up these cable clips. I have a bunch of different sizes and colours, so I know I'm going to have the right one for my job. Sometimes you might find that they actually tell you the size on the cable clip itself. This one is 10mm. When you're using a cable clip, you want to find the right size so that it's as effective as possible. This smaller cable clip is 7mm. As you can see, it's a perfect fit around this cable, being ever so slightly bigger. It's a much better fit, for example, than this one. This was the 10mm one. If I use this one, it would be too loose, and it wouldn't catch the cable snugly against the wall. I'm starting here from the plug socket, and I'm going to nail the cable to the skirting board itself. These cable clips are primed with a small nail, which you can hold gently in between your fingers and tap it in with a hammer. Maybe I'm not just very careful, but I don't think I've ever put in a set of these cable clips without bashing my finger with a hammer at least once. But this time I am determined to come away without any bruised fingers. You may not even need to use your fingers if you've placed it in a good spot, but there is a bit of a technique to that. I've decided to run this cable across the top, but there are some more areas that I could have chosen instead. Namely, inside of that groove and along the bottom. I think along the top just looked the most unintrusive in this particular area. I placed the clips at about 30cm intervals. This stops the cable from drooping. I gave the cable a slight curve into the corner, using 2 around every corner so that it was a bit more secure. I may even decide to paint this so that it blends in more. Ouch. Oh, told you so. Every single time. Yes. So this is what it looks like now. We can all agree that this is not the sexiest look. But I think it's probably also true that it looks better than it did before. And when I get time, I will invest in installing a new socket on this side of the room. But until then, I'm going to whip the paint out and see if I can try and hide this white cable a little bit better. Sometimes when I start a particular job, I feel like I might as well just go all in. And whilst I had the cable clips out, I thought I would also do this cable. This is another extension lead that I have that is powering my Alexa in the kitchen. I actually have a number of plug sockets in this room, but I just don't happen to have anything on this wall. So instead, I've been hiding this extension lead behind my kitchen door. So let's do something about this too. I don't know if it's just me, but I really love these little tappy tappy sounds that the hammer makes when the video is sped up. They're just super satisfying. When I was trying to mess in this corner, I actually discovered that there was a cable clip that was already there from before. I don't know why this was there. This must have been something that the previous homeowner was using. They had cable clips and wires that went to all sorts of weird places. But I guess I'm the same now, so I can't judge too harshly. How the tables have turned. So how do you decide which way up to put the cable clip? One side is thicker than the other, so you may find that if you use the flatter edge, the edge without the nail, it's going to sit more tidily, sit more flush against your surfaces. Before I could install this new cable clip, I had to remove the old one. Now this was in a bit of an awkward area, so it was quite hard for me to get the hammer around it. Cable clips are quite easy to take out with a hammer. Another way could be just to get a pair of pliers. And that's something that I could have easily done, but that means standing up and walking down into my basement to get my tools, and I am far too lazy for that. Being this close up also exposes some of my dodgy paintwork. Don't know what happened there. Nothing to see here. I think we ought to take the camera back up out of the way. There we go, that's a good distance. No dodgy paintwork from here. I couldn't work out straight away how I was going to make this area look tidy. As I mentioned before, I've previously just been trying to hide these plugs behind the door so they couldn't be seen. But then I started to get creative. What if it didn't have to sit on the floor and it could instead hide in this little gap in between the door and the wall? Isn't that the perfect little snug hole for it? This does not look very beautiful yet. Let's see if we can make this a little bit more attractive. Luckily, because I bought the 2 pots in the 2 different colours, I also have some black ones which will go really nicely with the wire from the Alexa. They also come in that super small size, which is the perfect fit. I've never actually tried to use these cable clips in masonry before, so this was a good experiment to see if it would work. Well, I say into masonry, but the truth is I'm actually putting it into the mortar, which is going to be a little bit softer and will be easier to put nails into. These nails are also quite small. It went in perfectly. Yay. It was actually quite an easy job. I've got some more little hammer tabby taps for you now. The extension cable was slightly too long, so I just curled up the bit that was excess and tapped it into the wall so it was out of the way. I used the black cable clips at shorter distances on this skinny wire. Because it's skinnier, I thought it would be more prone to sagging, so I reduced the distance. Installing a proper plug socket would look better than this. There's no lie. But when you open the door, you can't really see it. And it saved me a job for now. I think it looks so much better, so much more discreet. I feel like I'm the cable clips fan club because, as you can see, I use them on so many different applications. I used it on my super viral hanging basket hack. And I also used it in a recent video to keep these bamboo sticks attached to my planter so I could put some net over the top. They're so versatile. I'd love to hear about any projects you have coming up where you're using cable clips. What have you used them for? I'm getting some fantastic tips from you all about how best to grow my snake plant. Now these have definitely all snuffed it, but this main stem that had some roots is still doing well. I don't want to count my chickies, but it looks like it might live. And if it does, I could potentially propagate some of these top bits and re-establish a larger plant over time. Oh, no way, look! It's got a little plant! Someone gave me this big block of cling film, and that sounds unrealistic, but it's true. There was a restaurant in Bristol, where I live, that was closing down, and they had loads of different pots and pans and other restaurant-y type things that they were giving away because they'd closed down. This is one of the things that they gave to me. Now this is obviously an industrial size cling film, so I've had it for years and I use it every now and again when I have a reason to. I'm going to use it today. I'm going to use it to cover my seeds. I came in here again this morning to discover that everything had been dug up again because I haven't had a chance to cover it or to do anything with it. Wasn't too sure how to solve this problem. Somebody in my DMs recommended some cling film. Obviously this isn't rat proof. They could get through this quite easily, but I'm hoping that just having a barrier of some sort will be enough to deter them whilst I look for a more permanent solution. Ideally I would have covers like these, but I only have 1 or 2. As you can see, the one with the cover they've left alone, so it's obviously working. So that's what I'm going to be doing now, just covering these up and seeing if that helps the problem for the time being. Soil sandwich, anyone? Another tactic that I have tried is to place some pegs all around the outside of the greenhouse cover. Now there's obviously still some give in this fabric, but I'm hoping that this might be enough to not allow them to get underneath. But if that doesn't work, I've taken one more measure that I hope might work.